Hello, I have decided to record a video. I tried to script this a little bit, didn't want to script as much as before because I think I kind of do badly on a script because I end up reading it too much and then I really ruins the flow. But I wanted to talk a lot about why I retired and also just a bit about the ultimate scene. This is kind of a specific topic, I suppose. This isn't a video for everyone. This isn't going to be made public, but I had so many thoughts in my head, and I kept just repeating them stuff, and I was like walking in circles in my while I was cooking dinner, at my food salon, so that I might get an alarm at some point. Be careful there with that. But yeah, I just feel like I just wanted to start recording, start talking. It's gonna suck hugely if I like lose some really good footage because I misspeak or something random. Maybe I'll try edit it afterwards. We'll see. Maybe I'll eat my dinner before editing and then I'll have to like do weird later cuts later on. I'm not sure, but look, we'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to talk about it. I feel like I had a lot of demons exercise, and it's been a long day of work, and I just feel like I need to get things off my chest. So I kind of wanted to do that. For those who don't know, maybe people who watch this on the melee side, I used to be a pretty big TO in Ireland. I for many years ran most of the big Irish events. I was the main Dublin TO for a while. I obviously ran things in Kerry always. I started in like 2016 with like a youth club. Then we started running Kingdom, which was like a weekend thing, which was a public event, which was a big deal for us. And then I went to college, and then kind of started a scene in my college society, and then we met other groups, and then Ultimate came out, and there was this big boom, and everything was happening, and we had so many plans, and then COVID hit and it stopped the plans, but then COVID ended and we had this massive boom again of so many players, and we had the bringing up of like the Galway scene and the Belfast scene. Everything is so exciting, and then it kind of feels like towards the end it kind of, I don't know, it changed, and I'm gonna have to be careful about how I talk about some of this stuff, I guess. But um, I guess the feeling that I've felt, and I need to say this correctly, so give me a second, but I just feel, this is going to sound horrible, but I feel a level of like failure or like shame. And I know it sounds horrible um, to say, but just certain things that I'll get into, I suppose, have kind of really kind of rocked my spirit in this. I kind of, hadn't been thinking of this as much, maybe not on the surface in a bit, but today Vlark sent me some lovely messages asking me about my history of the Ultimate scene and how it compared to my melee scene days, and it kind of got me thinking. Um, but yeah, I feel and disclaimer, really important disclaimer. Um, I'm not an Ultimate scene anymore. Well, I am. I kind of rejoined the server again, but really, I've been really disengaged for a while. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about what the Ultimate scene became might not be relevant anymore. And in fact, I hope they're not. Like, I'm really hoping that kind of post my exit from the scene for a while, that, new blood came in and had these bright, exciting ideas and really lit a fire into the scene, had this new energy came in. I really hope that's the case. I've seen people like Jiminy and stuff come up with TOs, and that's really exciting, and I'm really wishing him the best with that, and I'm hoping there's more of that going on. So please keep that in mind. And if you are someone who's never in the Ultimate scene and you're a melee player, I do need to impress upon you how amazing this scene is. We've had so many amazing events and people and players and commentators through the years. We've put out so many of the entire backbone, it feels like, of the current Irish like schedule is like built off of like what the Ultimate scene built. Crackdowns came from you know our schedule with that. Big Fish started obviously as an Ultimate event and obviously had melee for a long time, but it started there. The Runny Weeklies, they obviously Fight House existed beforehand, but really when they boomed and when Smash became a thing at them, it was Evan and the Gag CJ, and that kind of started that in Galway, and then of course in Cork, that started with Chris O'Shea and the FGC guys, and then Sam came in and I did stuff, and you know we built a lot, and a lot of stuff that's lasted, and even stuff that hasn't lasted, the people who are now running stuff went to the stuff before. We did a lot of amazing things, ran a lot of amazing events, and if you didn't get to go to them, you really missed out. Um, so with that disclaimer out of the way, I guess I want to talk about the general feeling or spirit spirit of the scene. Um, and like I said, hopefully this isn't the case anymore. I am disengaged these days. But I really felt like over time things got kind of worn down a bit. And then at some point, was it 2023, 2024? I hated the years in this, but things kind of snapped. It was a certain thing that everyone knows about and in the old scene, and I don't really want to get into. I'm not going to get into it. I think it's helpful for me to get into it. But there's this kind of shift in terms of mentality where I felt like, everyone talked about Smash Ireland. They would say Smash Ireland is X, Smash Ireland did Y, and it really kind of broke my heart. It broke my heart constantly, if I'm being honest, because everyone would like externalize the scene as something other than themselves. I'm a big believer in the community is like something you invest yourself in, and I'm a big believer that like community is made up of its individual members. It's not this thing that exists separate to you. Like just because you're only a player doesn't mean you're not as an essential a part of the community as anyone else. If it was just me and like fucking two over TOs, that wouldn't be a community. That would be a tiny friend group. It's not how it works. And it felt like just the vibe and the general atmosphere just became so negative. And every time someone came into chat and would say something horrible about a scene or a group of people or just about Smash Ireland in general, it would like break my heart. And it really took a toll on me. There's I'm gonna throw someone under the bus here, but the thing that I said I do say is what made me retire is there's one evening, and this drama was being discussed and someone was just like berating me and shaming me. Yeah, I actually won't mention the name, but I ended up staying in like a Tesco car park for like 3 hours after I finished my work. Hadn't even gone in yet to get my shopping. Just arguing with someone, trying my best to hear them out, because the way I would engage with drama always with the scene was I would go hat in hand, kind of wear my heart on my sleeve, kind of just like, talk to everyone on both sides and just try and listen and try and be empathetic. That's a very big myself up way of talking about it. But basically, I would just talk to people and I'd try to be on everyone's good side. People have called that manipulative before, maybe, yeah, but I am a big believer, in like community requires, if you're going to unite so many people, you need to compromise at least a little bit, Obviously, there's things you shouldn't compromise on, but there's a certain level of you got to give. You can't be so stiff and rigid. You got to be able to bend a little bit to work with other people. It's really important. And I am the biggest bender there is. I would bend over backwards for everyone in that sense. And I feel like I think what happened was people became too rigid, and the more rigid people became, the more unwilling they were to listen to the other side and other people, and then these just divisions kept growing, and then suddenly it didn't feel like one community anymore. It felt like these disparate groups, and then no one wanted to go to events where they'd see the other people anymore, and everyone just stopped talking and everyone stopped communicating, and everything just kind of like really felt like it fell apart. And I don't know. I hated it. It was horrible, and I guess a part of why I'm doing this video is me trying to do that again. I'm trying to just like be vulnerable and put my heart in my sleeve and go hat in hand and just like talk to you guys, because I don't know. That's the only way I know how to deal with an issue. And I don't really know what I'm expecting to get out of this. But mainly, I guess I just want to talk about it. But yeah, it's kind of how I feel. And I don't know how it could be prevented. So I talked earlier about how I feel like it was a failure or a shame, and I don't know. And a part of I think why I want to make this video as well is I want to prevent it from happening again, right? So like back when the early days of Ultimate, there was such hope and optimism. We had so many things we wanted to do. We were so passionate. We had so many ideas of things we wanted to do. And I feel like one of the things that's been really amazing about the melee scene in the last year is that feeling, that excitement, that feeling that we're going to do so much and we've done so much and there's so many amazing things on the horizon and we're all so passionate and putting work into things and trying. And there's been this really beautiful culture in the melee scene recently of making videos like this where people just talk to a camera and just spew out shit from their heart, and it's beautiful. And I feel that wasn't allowed in the ultimate scene end, like people weren't willing to be vulnerable anymore, and people weren't willing to, like anything you say could be used against you in court. Everyone's trying to land a zinger on you, and everyone's on all this. Um, and yeah, I mean, there was people who were like really prominent members of the scene, people who were instrumental, who even they would externalize the scene and complain about the scene in the abstract. And yeah, it was just, yeah, and there's other reasons why I retired too. It wasn't just that time in the car park, it was, I ran level one and it killed me. I'd moved home to Kerry and I was trying to run the biggest fucking Irish event since CT. I haven't checked all the CTs, but I think it was the second biggest Irish event ever. Um, but not as a company, just with a small team of people. From Kerry, the fucking venue flooded the week of the event. Like so many hiccups happened along the way. Um, and you come out of the other side of it, and I don't know. It's like, what did I don't know. I don't know what to say. Maybe I should just cut the video short early. I'm not sure, but I do really hope that the scene in post has kind of had new flowers growing up and has got this new exciting back. Because I don't know. I just feel like I'm going over in my head all the time. Like I famously did what was called Rule 10, and Rule 10 was a rule to try and ban the phrase "kill yourself" because people were just being too mean all the time. Um, and it didn't work. It became a big joke. Everyone made fun of it. People got drunk videos of me saying it and lights out, and would post those or post images of those. When the phrase got banned, they'd start saying, instead of saying kill yourself, they'd say VKC yourself, or they'd say Rule 10, or they'd post a photo of me saying it, or they'd post a photo of Gordon Ramsay saying it, or whatever. And it was just very belittled. No one took anything seriously anymore. And I feel like we lost that real section of the community that were really, I don't almost want to say innocent and pure and just like purely passionate. And it became um, it became a very sportsy kind of locker room culture where everything you can't show vulnerability and you can't show weakness or that cats will jump on you. It's I don't know. And so I guess, yeah, I guess one part of me is like, maybe I should have been stricter. Maybe the people who were my friends and people who weren't doing anything that was crossing a line too much but were consistently towing the line, maybe I should have just banned those people. Maybe even though they didn't do anything too bad, maybe just for the for culture's sake, just for keeping a positive culture, I should just call it out. And that's something I see in the magazine a lot. I'm not always a fan of it. I'm a very people pleasing kind of person, so maybe that's why. But you do see people just get fully called out randomly and kind of insulted when they're being a bit annoying, and maybe that's a good thing. Potentially, the other side of the things is like, may but when I say this, and I'm talking about being more brutal and more cutthroat about going after people, a lot of this problem came from going after people and witch hunting people, and dogpiling on people and making people feel not safe to be vulnerable. Maybe the other solution was just pure empathy and understanding and being more forgiving of people. Maybe that was the solution, and maybe, a big, a big part even before that time in the car park was like I kind of stepped back from that one particular drama because for me, people thought had gone too soft on the situation, and they kind of I was like, okay, people aren't happy at how I'm dealing with this. People were giving me a lot of shit, so I stepped back. I was like, okay, look, uh, you know, other people can sort it out because people aren't happy with my judgment on this. Of course, it wasn't sorted out. I had to come back in a few months later to deal with it. Um, but yeah, I don't want to complain too much, and I want to have more grace about this, and I want to be, just move on and talk about it, and maybe I won't even post this. But I don't know. I just want to understand it more. I want to understand what happened. I want to understand maybe is it all in my head? Maybe, the culture has just moved past me. I was in the scene for a long time. I was in the original phase with all the Smash 4 players, and then I was in the kind of college scene phase, and then it was like the kind of collection of all those people came together maybe before COVID. But then COVID happened, and then it became this whole different Wi-Fi era. And the Wi-Fi era is great for a lot of ways as well. There's a lot of nice groups in there. But then post Wi-Fi era, we had other wave of these new scenes cropping up in Belfast and Galway, and then we had other waves of new players who came in post that, and there was a whole wave of people like Jank came after level one, Oh, okay, the drama was in 2024 because level one was 2023. Jang wasn't even here for level one. You know what I mean? Like, that was like that's when I started the retirement process. So many ways of things have changed in culture. So maybe I've just grown out of it. Maybe this is all in my head, and maybe it's all fine. But I don't know. I feel heartbroken all the time, and I came back into the server trying to promote real capital, and I just felt like I was a liar. I felt like it felt cynical or something. I felt like I didn't have that heart in it that I used to have, and I felt wrong in doing it, and um, yeah, there's other things I could talk about. I think, there was a big thing because we had hit so good so long. We fucking built so much of this country's fucking event infrastructure. Let me just say, we did a lot of fucking shit for like not just the Irish Smash scene, but the FGC, the Melee scene, the fucking even fucking shit for other scenes that weren't other those scenes I won't even get into. And we did a lot, and I think because we had such good TOs powering everything, we had such engines of the fucking industry going in the background. There became a certain level of maybe complacency or maybe a certain level of um expectation. Like you see a Melee event, and every time the event ends, people are like, "Thank you so much. I love you, this community so much." People send paragraphs and paragraphs, and that's and you get that other scenes too. Like the reason I always do FGC at Kingdom, even though Kingdom is already very clearly too full and can't fit everyone, is because the FGC guys are always gushing me with compliments and are so appreciative every time we do it. And I'm doing it for them because it means a lot to them. Whereas sometimes it feels like sometimes when you run an alternate event, people would just complain after it and they wouldn't feel appreciative. People are so comfortable complaining or shit talking TOs or shit talking people, and I don't like it. There's so many amazing, lovely people who would never say anything bad about anyone, and people are just so comfortable throwing shade, and I'm just like, and don't get me wrong, anyone who's been drinking with me knows I give shade, knows I gossip. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not innocent of this, especially in certain company. I can be a real bitch, but I don't know, you know. Yeah. So this is a very incoherent, unstructured rant. I'm sorry about that. My chicken should be done. Although I don't know if I put the timer on for long enough. I'm going to give it another whack anyways to be safe. Uh, so there's my rant. I'm excited for the future of the Ultimate scene. There's a lot of. I'm really excited for what Emmett has been doing in Galway and all the guys on the team there with Limo and Mihal as well, of course, on the Melee side. And I'm really excited to see, Jiminy come up, and I'm really excited to see the next stuff that the Big Fish boys put on for us. And I'm really excited for a lot of stuff. And I really that hope returns in that scene. If it hasn't already, I hope it has. I hope it has. And I wish nothing for the best for the scene. I really feel, for years I tried to describe how I felt with us in the scene, and honestly, the only word I can think of, and this is going to sound horrible for a man, but I feel like it's mother. Like, I feel like a mother, and I feel like, I'm constantly worrying about it, like it's my child who's gone off to college or moved abroad, and I'm always thinking about it, I think, for me, most of the reason I got into the Macy, and this is what became apparent from the Vlurk chat earlier, but like for me it was just easy. It was easy for me to rejoin a Smash scene and just re-enter all my old habits, because Smash is my culture. I know that sounds like a cringe thing to say, but it is. I fit like a glove in a Smash scene. I love the events. I love talking to people. I love helping out. I love commentating. I love like the improvement, talking about the game. I really fit in Smash. It's what I've built so much of my life. I dedicated like my total TO career was like 8 years, but like I dedicated 5 years as like the fucking main guy for fucking most of the Irish scene. Like it's really a big part of my life. So it's been really easy for me to like just slot my way into the Melee scene. And I don't know, maybe that's a failure in me in retiring. I don't know, but I care about it, and I think it's an amazing thing. I think Smash is the opportunity to do so many things. You can be a commentator, an artist, a video editor, a top player, a TO. You can be a developer. There's such a cool vehicle for so many things. It's so cool that it's so in-person focused, especially in this age where community is so sparse and diminishing so much. We have this beautiful counterpoint to where culture is going, and it's amazing, and it needs to be protected. And I really hope this next generation of players remembers that and is appreciative and always grateful for it. And I hope people never externalize the scene and always remember that they are a part of the scene. This isn't the thing that's put on by the TOs. You are the scene, and I really hope people remember that. And I hope the melee scene always, doesn't fall into the same topics we have. Sometimes I see things, I'm like, oh, this is happening again. And I get really scared, and I'm like, oh. But yeah, so there's my rant. Probably a really shitty video, but I did talk a lot and very fast, so I think it's probably at least somewhat entertaining. Um, I don't think I edited it. I think I kept a good pace up. I think I shouldn't edit my videos. I script my videos in future. I think honestly it doesn't work for me. I think works better. I just I want the videos to be watchable, coherent, and I hate 8-hour YouTube videos, and I hate rambling like I'm doing right now. So I'm going to stop the video and say thank you very much for listening. Would love to hear people's thoughts. Please don't glaze me in the comments, because I will just not listen to your comment. Because I really don't want to seem like that's what I'm doing. I don't want to fish for compliments. I just want to talk about my feelings, guys. So thank you for listening. Goodbye.